Makofi jamani. Makofi kwao jamani. Mgeni wetu wa heshima, kikosi hiki cha Bugula Dancers juzi kimetoka Spain na kimetoka pia Ufaransa. Kwa hivyo ni kikosi ambacho kinawatumbuiza wa Kenya na kadhalika kinawatumbuiza watu wa mataifa ulimwenguni. Kwa hivyo hapa Tana pana uhondo wa vitu kama hivi ambapo kwa kweli hazipatikani kwingine katika ukanda wa Afrika Mashariki na Kati. Kakanzai, nadhani nataka kukabidhi sasa ili uchukue sukani.
Asante Nuhu Bakari. Your Right Honorable Prime Minister Raila Odinga, karibu Hola Tana. Welcome to the 4th Jumuiya Agribusiness and Blue Economy Investment Conference. As you well know, you were the chief guest at the last investment conference in Diani. That was the 3rd. Thank you for that. You've been very, very consistent. The second one was in Malindi, and the first one was a pre-conference to the Sustainable Blue Economy Conference, one that happened in Nairobi. That was in 2018 in Mombasa. So we've had this tradition of having a rotation every year, right before Jamhuri, where we hold this conference, and we'll be very deliberate to call it Agribusiness and Blue Economy Investment Conference, so that we can assert it in our minds. That is where we change the story. So when we say changing the story, we're very, very clear of where we can change the story by unlocking the value chains of agribusiness and blue economy for them to work for our people in terms of individual county economic development, but collectively Jumuiya Counties Appointee economic development. You came at the right time, you're right honorable, because we have had many sessions, but we're left with only 2 presenters, very deliberate at the tip. These 2 presenters are very active working with the farmers of Tana River. One on the financial systems and the other one on cooperatives. So at this point, without much further ado, I want to invite Grace Sofa to tell us how they are doing in working with the farmers here and unlocking all these value chains that we have in Tana River and the coastal region. Grace.
Thank you, Emmanuel. The Honorable Dr. Raila Odinga, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Karibu Tana River County, Hola. I would also like to extend our sincere appreciation for Jumuiya and Jabeic Secretariat for taking their time to be able to organize this event and bring the 6 counties of the coast together to be able to deliberate a way to sustain and have projects which are able to take the coastal region to the next level. Yeah, my name is Dr. Sofa. I am work for Fadhili Express. I'm a director and also in charge of the Northern County region, precisely Hola. So I think we can go straight to the presentation. Yes. Yeah. What is the coastal agriculture known for? Normally, the coast is not known for any commercial production because most of the times we get their small-scale farmers, and the food they produce is only for their homes and livelihoods. in our language you'd like to say, sisi tuwapika, wao wachie, wapande, na wazalishe. That is what the locals would like, to say here. Next slide. We have many crops that we have here at the coast, the likes of mango, melon, cassava, coconut, citrus fruits, maize, and all kinds of pulses. However, they are not grown on a commercial production level because most of them are subsistence, and that also tells you that most of these the small-scale farmers who literally cannot afford to put in much into the value chain of this production. Next slide. There are three problems which are facing the coastal agriculture. One, and which is very evident, is the climate. There's the issue, of course, of unreliable rainfall. If there's no rainfall, we say that too much or no rain at all. The second point is we have low quality inputs. For instance, if we're talking about seeds, we have farmers, they harvest, have their seeds with them, put them in their stores where they're eaten by rodents, take about 6 or 1 year, and then bring them back to the farm when they are low quality, but still expect that the produce will have, will be substantial. And at the same time, they're expected to buy these herbicides and the pesticides, which are equally very expensive. The third one is that there is no market access. Interesting when you say there's no market access, in the sense that the market could be there, but because of the gaps of the brokers who come in, you get one broker has a certain price, and of course wants to change the other and gets another broker as well. So the product price keeps fluctuating, and of course this is not sustainable for the farmers going forward. Next slide. What are the solutions to our problems? The first one is climate change. The first one is irrigation. What we are saying here is that we no longer want to depend on the rain. We want something sustainable. For instance, when we talk about irrigation, we have NIB here, or NIA, the National Irrigation Board, such that if we choose a certain season to plant something, we are not waiting for the rain, but we are dependent on NIA to provide the water until the period when the product is harvested. We also have to embrace the fodder production. We have maize, for instance, which we grow, and wheat. Let me talk about specifically about maize and rice as well. So we have these things processed, and is what the human does not consume. But this fodder is what we should be able to give to the animals. I don't know whether you see a very unfortunate picture of those cows that are dead. And we had even the one who I think much closer to us was actually not dead, it was just breathing its last breath, and this has to do with lack of water and food. The third is the use of rivers and dams, whereby we construct them and have the water stored so that when we need to use, then it can be able to be provided not only to the crops, but to the animals as well. We have insurance cover as well, where we are saying that, look, in the event we have a natural calamity, for instance, drought, the farmer doesn't have to suffer that alone. The man is able to come back from the insurance, and if there are floods, heavy floods as well, then the farmer does not have to suffer that, look, we can't pay you, you have no crops. What we are saying is that we know it is no fault of your own, so we are putting in this for you to get onto the next crop for the next season. Next slide. Quality inputs. One I spoke about is about the seeds, where you let the farmer just produce what he has or take back what he has, which might not necessarily be sustainable or healthy enough to be able to give produce. We're also talking about organic fertilizers, or even fertilizers, the other normal fertilizers, where they are not diluted. And you buy a fertilizer because it is cheap, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have the value that is needed for it to have that crop to grow. And the third one is to bring in innovative agricultural finance, which I will come to as we move on with the slides. Market access. We all know that always quality food will never miss markets. So aggregation market produce is key. What we are saying is that you want to see a farmer from the start, right from clearing of the farm to the final product where we have gotten an off-taker for the farmer to literally sell his produce there. In the in-between gaps, we are in there. That's what we are calling aggregation. And then creating an access market by identifying quality off-takers. It's interesting, when we say quality off-takers, because you have to work with these off-takers right from the start. They are aware, they provide the seeds that are of quality. We also have, which I think is on the next slide, to be able to know that what we are producing is quality in the end. What is our one-stop solution? This is to create an agricultural ecosystem of all stakeholders at the coast. That is including the 6 counties. Next slide. And for this to happen, we definitely need a coastal agribusiness ecosystem. And that is what I was trying to explain. Right from the start of when the crop gets to the farm to when the product gets sold. So in between, we have the loans, for instance, giving the loans to the farmers. We have machinery providers, and we're talking about ridging and plowing. We're talking about marketing agents who are providing, for instance, pesticides. We have the seed providers, which I've spoken earlier about. We have others like the veterinary officers as well. These are the agroeconomists who are saying that, look, we are there to get into your land to see whether your crops are growing healthily and whether we expect that production going forward. We cannot also forget again the insurance providers. I spoke about the water providers. That's okay. Next. So this brings us to the question: what is our role of solving the problem as Fadhili expressed? One is that farmers input finance. This means that we are providing farmer credit to secure quality inputs and extension services on a timely basis. Next slide. Who are we as Fadhili? Fadhili is an agri-loan and an agri-business specialist. It's a subsidiary of Fadhili Micro. We cater for small and medium farmers, and when we say small, we are speaking as small as 3,000 shillings for a loan to a farmer. And we are regulated by AMFI, which is the Microfinance Association in Kenya. Our typical range of loans is between 3,000 to 150. So the more you keep graduating depends on how you make your payments. So there's a farmer who comes in, gets a loan of 3,000, and at some point they get 250 of a loan. We have 40,000 where we operate. We have 40,000 farmers across Kenya, and our major agricultural production areas are Lamu, Tana River, Kilifi, Kwale, Taita. That's on the coast. And in the eastern, we move to Makueni, Kitui, Meru, Tharaka Nithi, Isiolo, and all the way to western as far as Kitale, Eldoret, West Pokot, and the Turkana counties. What value chains do we support? You can see we support quite a number of them, but here in Hola precisely, we have concentrated, and what has worked here for the farmers is rice, green grams, and the maize. And we're soon coming up with the livestock farming as well. What is a typical input credit loan? Usually the loans are between 45 days and 180 days. 180 days to translate to 6 months. The amount maximum for a farmer is 150, and obviously the least would be 3,000. Acreage is below 20 acres because we are looking at a farmer. Remember, we are looking at a small scale farmer. So that is below 20 acres. And usually the payment is between 13% per season. The season could be the 45, between the 45 days and the 180 days. And depending on the creation of the location of the smallholder farmers, the interest rate from 2.5 to 3.5 per month. Next slide. Now, our value proposition in JKB Agribiz Club, we propose to form the Jumuiya Agribusiness Ecosystem Club or Association of Agribusiness Enthusiasts. Fadhili will galvanize and lead these institutions to formulate the Jumuiya targets to put the 1 million acres under the cultivation within 36 months. One key thing is to identify the crop per country and put all resources to make the crop the flagship export of the county. And of course, I had said what we deliberately want to grow. Next slide. So our commitment here is to set a target of $250 million to fund the 1 million projected acres, which is approximately 30 billion Kenya shillings. This will fund commercial production of green ground support for over 333 smallholder farmers across 1 million acres within 6 counties at a maximum cost of 30,000 Kenya shillings per acre. We are committing the 1 million to fund, initiate and support the creation of the JKP Agribusiness Club. With that, I would like to ask whether the JKP Club is willing to join, to partner, and to team with us to make this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mwene, for that. I was really listening carefully to the value proposition, but that's very, very clear. So, on behalf of Jumuiya County Zakwani, the JKP Secretariat, of course, to be approved by the governors, we accept that offer. Tunakubali. We form this club. We accept it. And I think it makes a lot of sense. Much of these young people, farming is not cool for them. And I think we need to find some ways for it to be cool. So if this club will do that and move much of our young people into agribusiness, the better. And we thank you much for your support. So, the Right Honorable, we used to have the post-province investment conference. You were the first one who did this. I think that was in 2007, 2009. And there's a very nice story around that. Because I was in diaspora and we had tried to put it to host a conference of that kind for the region with my friend who was an MP of Galole at that time, and it was impossible. It became possible when you came to Chicago, and myself and other Wapwani diaspora, Michael Chitapi is a doctor now, was here yesterday, and others. You accepted and you became the chief guest, and that was the beginning of Coast Province Investment Conference 1, 2, and 3. Dr. Fred Mwene, who I want to recognize on the chair, is sitting right behind you and is the CEO of Fadhili. So thank you so much, Fred Mwene, for your service. And we did that Coast Province Investment Conference. But the last one that we did, which I believe was sometime in 2010, we did something significant and you launched it yourself. It was the Wapwani Cooperative. And the idea was for us to do what we're doing. We had an investment group, the PEO investment group, which would raise 120 million, and got ourselves a whole ranch out in Lamu. We also put together the now Ufanisi Cooperative from the Wapwani Cooperative that we launched. It took us a while, but after a few years right now, we have some memberships and we have a very strong membership here in Tana. It is actually one of the leading cooperatives of really these new young farmers who are participating in this. So for very few minutes, to get an update of that initiative that you launched, I have Mr. Kauli Mwembe, who is representing the chair and the cooperative, to say a few remarks. Kauli, please.
The Right Honorable Raila Odinga, Your Excellency, Governor Dado, our very warm-hearted host for 3 days. Members of Parliament, Honorable Speakers of County Assemblies right across the province, Honorable CCs, Honorable MCAs, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, the Pwani Ufanisi Farmers Cooperative, abbreviated as PUFCO, is today 5 years old with a membership of about 500 members. We are truly a regional farmers cooperative because we are present in all the 6 coastal counties. Our rallying call is to hold that small farmer, change his life or her life through training, access to markets, thus bypassing the notorious middlemen and women, give them access to certified planting material. And this we have done very successfully through good partners like Agriculture and Food Authority, Conro, and then most important, give them reliable markets. And it's good that some 4 years, no, actually the beginning of this year, through the good connections of JKP and Fadili, we met Grain Connect of Italy, who require a lot of farm produce from the coast province. And in particular, they need 2 million kilograms of green grams every 3 months. So we had to get an enabling environment from where to grow these 2 million kgs of green grams. And our farmers and members have happily found a home in Tana River. And in Tana River, we have joined hands with the National Irrigation Authority, and we have now a small pilot of 216 acres where we are going to grow that product. So we feel that we are actually changing the story, to use JKP slogan. We are changing the story for this farmer because we want to put in this farmer food on the table and money in the pocket. So thank you, our partners. Thank you, Governor Dado, for hosting the first batch of these smallholder farmers to change their lives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kauli, and thank you, panelists, for that wonderful job. I know it was not very easy, but you were very much right on target in terms of your participation. So at this point, we want to move to the last session. You may The Right Honorable, if we could put that presentation, for the last 3 days, we have had many conversations here. Our theme of this year was innovative investments in blue economy urbanization and regenerative transformation. Now, that conversation has been a build-up. If we could put the slides, please. Um, what I want to do at this point is to give just a recap of what we have done in the last 3 days from the JKP Secretariat side and our way forward to it, and then we can turn it over to the host governor to take us to a close. Can we put the slides? Okay, so what that is going on, so Right Honorable, this has been quite a journey for us. As you well know, and you have been a very big champion of the regional economic blocks. The regional economic bloc of Jumuiya ya Countries of Pwani was the first to be formed. It has not been an easy journey. Politics has been a major player in it, but I know you have also been active in the Lake Region economic blocks and all of them. We have made quite some progress, and we have been able to define our mandate. Slide 1, please. We have been able to define our mandate as 4 areas as the JKP Secretariat, and these are all building in from the county mandates, the county development mandates. You remember the Vision 2030 Delivery Secretariat. So that was simply a mimic of that we're not an implementing agency, we're simply a coordinating agency. So our mandate will define them as 4, coordinating the 6 coastal counties headed by the governors for cooperation in economic development, the key stakeholders, and that cooperation has an axis. The axis is policy harmonization. Each county has the county integrated development plans harmonized by the Vision 2030 medium-term plan, and the idea is, as we have the national plans and the county plans, we also have a regional plan. And we've been able to develop the regional blueprint, which is aligned to the Vision 20, the Jumuiya 2030, with 10 pillars. If you go to the next one, please. Now, out of that, those pillars, which are 10, we were able to extract what is more important right now in this conversation. And this conversation has 2 edges right now. We have a new set of governors from the last 10 years into this now new 10 years. We call that Jumuiya 2.0. We've had many of the progress that we have made where we have set up the secretariat. Much of the policy harmonization has been taking place. Some investments which have been catalyzed by this investment conference which we've been holding. And we have also been able to secure a grant from the European Union, the first of its kind, of a blue economy fund, the Go Blue, a 3.5 billion fund which is in progress. So out of that, much of the 3 days was catalyzed by that conversation and the progress of implementation that we are making with the European Union partners, who all of them are here. So out of this theme that we have, or the blue economy urbanization, the regenerative transformation that we're looking to do, all of it has a baseline of innovative investments that we have. We heard from the controller budget, and he talked about 400 billion, which has somehow come into the counties in the last 10 years from the national government and other development partners. But he also mentioned that we have an opportunity to raise 7 billion to 15 billion in terms of on-source revenues through investment and through active participation by the county government. So this was a conversation we're having today to see how we get to cooperate with the 6 county governments, with the investors, for us to have some innovative investments which are run by the county government through the regional economic bloc. The next slide, please. And so those are the 10 pillars that house, we call it the Jumuiya house. And out of the 10 that we have, the 10 priority areas, we say there is two critical things that need to happen. One, because of the crisis of unemployment and the youth and the transition rates, we need to establish a Jumuiya Innovation Lab in each of the 6 counties, and we're very happy through the Excellency Governor of Tana River. That process has started with an innovation center here with a few partners like UNDP and other partners who have set up that center. And we look to do this in all the 6 counties so that it can be an access or a last mile in employment for our youth. The other one has been setting up a Jumuiya Investment Fund, which is in progress. As we speak today, we developed a common bill which has been adopted by all the 6 counties. Tana River, Kilifi, and Mombasa have enacted county investment company, which they're in the process of operationalizing at this point. And we're looking to do that probably in the next year, that they will be set. And from there, then conversations and real transactions can happen with the investors. It will be a great enabler to bring in more investments and transacting with much of the institutional investors. Next slide, please. The other one, I've talked about this, which is the setup of the Innovation Lab, which is a mix of workforce development on one side, that's upskilling into the private sector, employment, and the other one is creation of entrepreneurs, working with our 3 universities, Taita Taveta University, Pwani University, and the Technical University of Mombasa and TPES, to manage that transition through policies by the county government. That's what we call the triple helix, and I think we'll be very, very successful with this model. Next slide. That's the Jumuiya Investment Fund, the model of having the 6 companies or investment companies, and from that end, then we'll put in the Jumuiya Investment Fund as an enabler and a tool for us to be able to unlock some of these value chains and these conversations that we've been having. But much of what these companies will do is to secure land in terms of the land banking. Much of the investors that we have need land. The land that they access is either expensive or it has issues, which we know is a Kenyan problem. So we think with the county government, they should be able to do this and solve that issue that we have and be able to move. Next one. This is the catalytic fund, the European Union that we have, and we've had quite some successes with it. Through the first component, which is economic development, we were partnering with Portugal, Germany, and Italy. Italy is working with 9 beach management units, 25 deep sea fishing vessels, more than 1,500 fishermen who will be upskilled, capacity built for them to think and work as fishermen but entrepreneurs. And that is livelihoods all the way into the value chain. Cold storage, markets that will be built, and so far that progress is moving, where between now and 2024 that will be accomplished. Germany has been working with TVETs. They have invested quite a bit, working with 3,000 youths, moving them to employment, and more than 500 micro, small, medium enterprises. Portugal is working with us on tourism, culture, and heritage. Last 2 weeks, we gave out 85 million worth of checks to micro, small, medium enterprises, all selected from the 6 counties, and much of their work is going on in terms of mapping out of tourism, culture, and heritage sites for them to develop as enterprises. United Nations, the UN Habitat, is helping us with planning. As you well know, Engineer, the Right Honorable, much of the challenges we've had here is the spatial plans. So we've not been able to finish that, and with that, those are enablers to bringing employment and bringing investors. So UN Habitat, UNEP is helping us with that, and also scaling the carbon credits program, which is in Kwale, into Lamu. And a lot of partners were coming on board to make sure that the Lamu project on carbon credits also takes off. The last one is with the expertise funds, strengthening the Coast Guard, but also supporting our fishermen in terms of safety when they go out fishing. The next one. And now, these are the summary of the investment projects which have come out from the county governments. There are three in each county which we've been able to put together. So the industrial park feasibility has been done. This would be the first special economic zone which is sponsored by county government. We worked with this with Trademark East Africa to do the feasibility, and that project is to anchor or run in parallel with the Dongokun special economic zone. The county government of Mombasa is very, very keen on that, and it's one of the first projects to be run under the Mombasa Investment Corporation. The next one. So the next one is, I can't say it well. My apologies, I know, Governor, you're standing and I'm about to finish this. But there is the establishment of a sheep equipment and building farm in Mombasa, integrated development and artisanal capture fishery. Much of this is in the program, which you will take a look with much detail. The modern fish banders and food processing plant in Kwale County, seaweed farming in Kwale County, dairy processing plant in Kilifi County, and affordable housing projects in Kilifi County. A convention center in Kilifi County, irrigation development, and in Tana River, energy sector projects, fish processing plant, a cotton processing plant in Lamu, and a greenery project in Tana River. Taita Taveta County Special Planning support a fish processing plant in Lamu County. Enhancement of the beef cattle fattening in Taita Taveta. These projects have all been compacted. They are all ready for investors. A lot of work has gone into it, and what we hope from now, Your Excellency, is to help us take this to the investors. You have many friends out there from your work at the African Union across the globe. There are 6 governors out here. I'm sure if we go out on a trade mission anywhere in the world with this project, we should be able to bring in the kind of investments that we need. You're right, Honorable, Your Excellency. I know you are ready to take over, and I'm ready to handle. So with those many words, I thank you. I thank you, and I want to thank you, the people of Tana River and everyone who was there, the heat, to be here with us in the last 3 days. We thank you so much and look forward to seeing you in the next one, which at this point, I think it's either going to be Lamu. I see CS Monajuma wants it here again. Really? No, we have to rotate into all the 6 counties, and right now we're left with Lamu County and Taita Taveta County. That's left for the 2 governors for them to decide. Your Excellency Governor, thank you so much.
Asante sana. I know when it comes to matters of the course, he's so passionate, and you can see how passionate he is. He is discussing, trying to get everyone to understand exactly what needs to be done in this coast. I wish he had the power to do the things that he dreams about at night. Your Excellency, we are very happy today to have you around here. And what is most important is that here are the 6 counties of the Jumuiya County Pwani discussing as one family, as one block, issues that relate to what you have created. You have been furthering most of these things for a long time. It is out of your effort and struggle that you managed to secure this system of governance, the devolution system, which today you still continue nurturing us to see how we are making progress in the whole country. And everyone knows, there is no doubt, you are the father of devolution. You are the father of devolution. You've made us what we are. I remember there's a lot of cry those many years about Majimbo. And us, the people of the coast, were the ones who were shouting the most, saying, we've been marginalized, we've been neglected, until you remember there was a time we said Pwani si Kenya, even Pwani si Kenya. Because of that cry, that how come then this cost is not moving? But you made it possible that through devolution, through the system that you brought in, now we can think for ourselves. We can reason together. We can decide on the way we want to proceed with devolution. Sasa ni sisi, and that's why we are sisi here discussing mambo yetu sisi kwa sisi. And so we are happy you are here. And before I invite you to come and speak, I want to call upon a brother there to try and do one presentation in your interest, Your Excellency, so that out of that presentation, then you can be able again to pick from there. Ndugu yetu huyu ambaye amekuja pia yeye kuongeza nguvu katika mjadala huu. Pigeni makofi mazuri. Asanteni. Karibu ndugu.
Asanteni sana. Thank you very much. Your Excellency the Governor of Tana River County. My name is Lame Kogode, the CEO and co-founder of Vuno Blockchain from the Africa. Governor, thank you for hosting us on the Blue Economy and the Agribusiness Conference. Also, all protocols observed. Thank you very much, Right Honorable His Excellency Raila Odinga, for honoring this investment summit. Now I'll be speaking today about a smart farming solution. So I'll be speaking about a smart farming solution which we have developed to help farmers achieve maximum yields and generate revenue, especially smallholder farmers. Now, Africa is currently experiencing a food crisis. And as Africa as a whole, we need to triple our food supply by the year 2030. If we look at the history of Kenya, in 1963, we had agriculture as 38.7% of our GDP. Now we are sitting at a mere 22.4% of our GDP, meaning that there's been a decline in agricultural productivity. Now, as a company, we are a data integration company. We use data to help agribusinesses solve the existing problems. Now, some of those will look at analytic solution, mobile apps, USSD codes to help smallholder farmers especially to maximize their yields and connect them to all the other stakeholders in the agricultural supply chain. Now, what we envision is to foster economic growth through agribusiness, knowing that Kenya as a country is very rich in terms of its capacity to produce a lot of food. I believe in East Africa and Kenya at large, in Africa at large, Kenya could really play a pivotal role in the food supply across the continent. How we have managed to achieve this is through technology, use of technology in the agribusiness sector, upskilled smallholder farmers to foster employment and ultimately create an economic hub. Now, the statement of need is quite clear. One is that of food security. Currently, we are looking at IPC Phase 3 in Kenya, where you'll find that almost 3 million Kenyans are facing severe hunger. The other issue is population increase. Now, with this taken into account, in Kenya alone, with the population increase, 75% of our population are the young people. Now, without the right systematic structures, especially in the agribusiness sector, we are continuing to see a systemic poverty in the country and in Africa at large. Now, we piloted our smart farming solution first in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, where we partnered with the local municipalities. And by using smart farming solutions, upskilling their farmers and connecting them to the food supply chain or agribusiness supply chain, we would see farmers improve their revenue by 120%. Now, this would mean that a cabbage farmer, instead of going to market in 100 days, as a cabbage farmer, you could go to market at 70 days or 60 to 80 days, meaning that your pricing will be better in the market and you'll be able to generate more revenue. We've also piloted this in Enery, Haiti, whereby we piloted it with the local mango farmers and the local government. And we would see mangoes mature. Normally, mangoes take about 5 months. Now, it's 3 to 5 months depending on your agricultural practices. But mango farmers in Haiti, mango farmers in Haiti would see mango farmers in Haiti would see an increase in productivity, whereby they would go to market in 4 months or 3.5 months, and mango maturity. This is quite intense because looking at the capacity of mango farmers in Haiti, previously their productivity was declining. Now, some of the reason why it's declining is, one, we are using old structures to try and mitigate risks of new problems or already existing problems. So can someone just fix the slides? I'm not seeing. If you could channel the Zoom. Wonderful. Great. All right. So part of the things that we looked at in Africa is, one, Africa uses 5 million tons of fertilizers every year. And we are seeing a post-harvest loss of 25 to 50% every year, causing a food loss of $4 billion every year. This is in Africa alone. We've not considered the entire world. Now, part of the reason why we are seeing this, as much as we are pushing a lot of fertilizers and we're seeing all this food waste, is, one, decline in productivity. Africa, Kenya particularly, has seen a decline in productivity in the agricultural supply chain. This is called by inefficiency in the agricultural supply chain and lack of using technology and upskilling our smallholder farmers especially. Of course, if there's a decline in productivity, what we are seeing now is a lot of farmers are experiencing post-harvest loss, whereby if you were supposed to harvest 100 cabbages, you're harvesting 60 cabbages. What happened to those 40 cabbages? Which ultimately means that there's a revenue loss. Now, what we have figured out by using our pilot in South Africa and Haiti is that we don't necessarily need a lot of land to farm. We can use the same amount of land that smallholder farmers is using in order to increase the yield. So using the same amount of land, you can reduce the post-harvest loss, and by using the same, using good practices or efficient practices in farming, you can increase your yields. Which is why we use our smart solution farming app, Vuno. Now, Vuno is a smart farming solution app that uses distributed ledgers. We ultimately use information from farmers, other supply chain players, in order to help farmers connect to them and connect to the right products in order to increase their capacity, meaning increase their crop yield. How can Kenya increase or boost this agricultural productivity? One, we need to start looking at growing high-yield crops. What our solution does is that it advises smallholder farmers and county governments on what they need to farm. I'll give you an example. Driving down here and just taking a measure of the environment, looking that we have some sort of sandy soil, you would find that it's very good to farm vanilla in Tana River. But nobody has tried it yet because this information has not been made available. vanilla is actually a very rich crop for export. And that would actually see county government increase their revenue because the export within this county government would actually increase. We need to look at improving irrigation mechanism. One of the things that we did for our smart farming solution did with the farmers in South Africa was advise them on what irrigation practices to use. Noticing that when you're farming cabbages, you don't need a lot of water. You need consistent water. So if you put a drip irrigation with small drops going every single day, you'd actually see your cabbages come mature within 60 or 70 days as opposed to 100 days. And of course, we need to look at increasing use of organic fertilizers. I'll touch on that later. And of course, increase the infrastructure. And lastly, incorporate technology in our farming practices. Now, some of the factors, and I saw some of the presenters also touched on this, some of the key factors that are affecting farmers are, of course, the soil quality, farming practices, and the climate change. Now, just touching briefly on soil quality for the sake of time, if you harvest your crop at the wrong temperature, it affects the longevity or the expiry of your crop. Most farmers don't know that. But by our smart farming solution, giving them those alerts readily that you should harvest your crops at 23 degrees, which will be maybe at 6 o'clock in the morning, you'll be able to get the ultimate yield for export. It makes a big difference. Now, some of the things that we look at when we are giving this smart farming solution to smallholder farmers and local governments is advising them on what they need to farm in order to maximize on their revenue in the entire supply chain. I spoke of vanilla. If you can see this there on the slide, vanilla takes about 6 to 9 months to grow. A lot of information. Farmers don't have this information. So it's up to us to simplify it for them and get the relevant information to improve their practices. So, of course, our mission is to reverse the decline in food productivity, especially in Africa. So, for example, you'll be able to see alerts from your governor to tell you that, we're looking at harvesting season. If you had the right practices, you should be able to harvest in December on this date, try and harvest at 6 o'clock in the morning. The temperature will be this. That will be the right temperature to harvest. Now, we don't just stop at crop farming. Our app also connects to fish finders for fishermen. Fishermen are out there fishing at night when they don't need to. With our fish finders connected to the app, what happens, it advises them on where to fish, meaning they don't have to spend so much time out there. And meaning that we can conserve, we can actually participate in the blue economy. So instead of, depleting our oceans, we're able to fish farm efficiently. Now, I previously talked about increasing the revenue streams or the crop yield. What we are looking at is also to help farmers increase their revenue streams. Once you've farmed adequately, the first you look at for your harvest is the domestic consumption for revenue. Then you look at the export product for revenue again. Then you look at what product is going for transformation, what product is going to animal feed, and then you go to waste. As you can see, those are 4 different revenues that we have created for farmers using the right amount of information. So they just don't need to rely on selling crops for revenue. They can locally, they can do it for export, they can do it for transformation, they can sell it for animal feed or use it for animal feed if they're animal farmers. Of course, the market opportunity for local governments is food security. If you look at the food market, it's currently settling at $50 billion with a serviceable obtainable market in Kenya alone at $12 billion, and the serviceable obtainable actual market that we can do in county government is looking at $1.5 billion. Now, our app does more than just informing farmers on what to farm. We give this information to the relevant participants. We'll give it to retailers and suppliers. We'll give them to micro lenders. For retailers and suppliers, they'll be able to know which areas can they connect with the farmers and get the right produce or the quality produce that they're looking at. Now, what our app does is it de-risks the agricultural sector. Farmers have been seen as a high risk because of that post-harvest loss I showed you. And of course, there's many factors affecting that. But because we de-risk the farmers, micro lenders are able to give them loans at a much lower rate, right? As opposed to getting 20%, or I'll give an example in South Africa where we worked with the African Development Bank, as opposed to micro lenders who were giving micro farmers 15%, that could drop up to 10% or even more in Kenya because we have good capacity. This also applies to insurance. Micro farmers or smallholder farmers are not being insured, or they're not getting insurance because they're seen a high risk. When we give this information, or we connect the insurance companies to the micro farmers, they're able to get insurance premiums at a much lower rate. Of course, we connect them to the logistics supply chain in order for there to be efficiency in terms of transportation. And of course, lastly, it's the government, which partners with us, partners with the local farmers to ensure that there's improvement and the sustainability in the agricultural sector. Some of the phases that you look at as a county government is one, skills development, look at developing your farmers. We've developed curriculums that run from 2 weeks up to a year, depending on the skill level of the farmers, in order to upskill them, know the right amount of, have the right amount of information to farm efficiently. Look at things like asset mapping, assess what information is available, what resources are available in the county government. And then, of course, that's when we implement our smart farming solution to the smallholder farmers, because then they have the right information. They get the right USSD codes alerts. They get the right. If you don't have a smartphone, you can do a USSD code. If you have a smartphone, you can download our app. And of course, then we look into investment. What this has done in South Africa, in Mpumalanga, there was an investment transaction of $7 million for farmers within a space of 8 months. And then, of course, the last phase is to scale up. Look at how we can scale up farmers within the local region. Our go-to-market is to ensure that 50% of Kenyan farmers, smallholder farmers, are using smart farming solution or the Vuno app in order to improve their practices. Our goal is, of course, to address the systemic poverty, have inclusive economic growth, and upscale the demographic, especially young people who have been on the sidelines of agriculture for a long time. Now, in many places we go, like in Haiti, young people are now motivated to join mango farming, when previously they looked at it as something for their parents to do. But now, because they have access to information and they actually have some form of control, young people were actually more involved in the farming. We're looking at developing 1 million agripreneurs in Kenya in 5 years' time. Now, when I say agripreneurs, our app does not just promote farmers. You see, when farmers thrive, other business develop. Logistic companies will develop for farmers. People who are supplying seeds will develop for farmers. Nurseries will develop. So there's many people in the agricultural supply chain. So it's not 1 million farmers. Remember, it's agripreneurs that are being developed. Of course, some of the next step is to look at, when you've achieved that, to look at how to attract agribusiness investment, look at how to include this in your CIDPs as leaders of the county. And when you attract this and you include it in your CIDPs to develop these farmers, you're looking at even developing agro-processing plants. Some of the things we did when we helped milk farmers in KwaZulu-Natal, Newcastle, we would see milk processing plants coming up, meaning they didn't have to wait for their milk to go to Johannesburg and then it's processed, then it comes back and it's being sold here. The milk processing plants would be done within that area. All the milk will be processed and packaged in that area. Employment was created, meaning they can now send their milk to surrounding provinces to help them. And of course, the next thing is to see a trade surplus in the food supply chain. See everybody who's a market player in that supply chain do better. Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And if you have any questions, I do have my business cards and I'm available for a chat later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Makofi kwake, makofi mazuri. Yeah, makofi mazuri kwa sababu ametuchambulia mambo mengi sana. Basi kabla nimualike Waziri Mkuu, nataka nitambue Your Excellency uwepo wa Deputy Governor wangu kwanza hapa, Mheshimiwa Martin Loka, asimame punge mkono. Pia nitambue Deputy Governor wa Kilifi ako hapa na sisi, amekuwa hapa kuanzia masiku haya yote mpaka sasa hivi. Tuko pale na Mheshimiwa Wambire, tuko hapa na mawaziri wa county na mawaziri wa county zingine. Hebu simameni kidogo mawaziri wa county wale mmekuja hapa nyote. Tuko pia na MCS hapa, wale wako wasimame. MCS umewakilisha wote. Tuko hapa, wazee pia wako hapa, kina mama, vijana kutoka sehemu zote za pwani wako hapa wengi sana, pamoja na wafadhili wetu wengi ambao wamekuwa hapa. Wengine wameenda, tumekuwa hapa na Mheshimiwa Ngaro, tumekuwa na Mheshimiwa Timami, wote tumekuwa nao. Tumekuwa na Madime wa kutoka Taita Taveta. So tumekuwa hapa na kongamano kubwa kujadiliana mambo haya kwa hizi siku zote. Nataka niseme jambo moja peke yake au mawili, Mheshimiwa, kinikubalia. Ya kwanza, katika mjadala hii yote sisi kama Tana tumekuwa na wewe, tumetembea kwa muda mrefu, na huko nyuma tulikubaliana, ukatusaidia sana kufungua barabara hii kuanzia Malindi kuja hivi mpaka Garissa. Leo waheshimiwa hao wote kuja kwao hapa hawakuamini ya kwamba wangechukua masaa mafupi kufika hapa kwa hii conference. Wengi walikuwa na hisia tofauti ya kwamba usalama mbaya, barabara ni mbaya, kule ni kubaya sana. Yaani mawazo mengi, walikuwa wanawaza mambo mabaya matupu, hata wanaota mambo mabaya kuhusu Tana River hii. Leo hii wanazungumza hadithi tofauti ya kwamba kweli Tana River imebadilika. Lakini bado hatujashiba sisi. Tuna hamu ya kwamba ifunguke Tana River, ichangie uchumi wa region hii. Na tukakubaliana sote kila mahali, hata unajua ya kwamba ilikuwa barabara hii uifungue miaka iliyopita. Alafu kuwe na airport kule juu ambao sasa at least miundo msingi ya usafiri iwe sawa. Kwa sababu tunapozungumzia mambo ya Galana Kulalo, Bura, Hola, yote haya sawa tutazalisha, alafu tutasafirisha vipi? Uchumi utakuwa vipi? Investors watakuja vipi? Sasa hiyo ndio mambo tulizungumza na ulikuwa tayari kuyafanya. Bado tuna kiu hiyo because hayajafanyika. Kuna hoja ibuka imekuja tena ya kwamba kuna mpango wa kujenga bwawa ule mwisho wa Tana. Ili malengo ni kuweka mtaro mkubwa, kanali ya kupita juu kwa juu mpaka iende Galana. Na sisi tuna hofu na mpango huo, kwa sababu tumeona tayari madhara yale yamepatikana huku mtoni. Watu hawajaenda huku kuangalia, lakini kuna uharibifu mkubwa katika ecosystem zetu. Uzalishaji wa chakula ushaenda chini, na ndio sababu unaona Tana River sasa imeanza kuingia tatizo la kutegemea chakula national government. Haikuweko zamani, lakini kwa sababu ya mambo hayo, ile natural energy pia regeneration ya ecosystem yetu imeathirika vibaya. So tungeomba ya kwamba serikali ifanye mpango mbadala. Tunakubali ile kanali, lakini isiwe ni kanali ya kudivert part of the water. Tunataka mafuriko mengi. Tunajua mhalifu si mafuriko, mhalifu ni wananchi, na sisi tumekubali kutoka nje ili mafuriko yaendelee. Sasa tunaomba kwamba mbadala ule iwe ya kwamba ni mtaro ikiconnect mabwawa ya maji katika zile mito zetu nyingi ziko hapo, karibu mito 7 iko huko inateremsha maji huko. Sasa itengenezwe mtaro, itengenezwe mabawa, na hiyo sasa mtaro ipitishe hiyo maji huko, tuifanye sehemu za ndani iweze kutumika vile inavyotakana. Hatubadilishi malengo, tunabadilisha mpango. We are here to talk about innovative investments. So that's what we are talking about. We want that the national government change a bit of the scope of the design of that project, lakini malengo yabaki vile vile. Sitaki kusema mengi sana mimi. Hayo nimeyasema, na la mwisho ni kwamba kuna tofauti ya mtu anaitwa baba na mzazi. Hao watu wawili tofauti sana. Wewe umekuwa baba wa taifa hili, umekuwa baba wa Afrika, tumekuona. Hata mambo mangapi yafanyike, unasimama na watu wako, unazunguka ukiwatetea ili wasiweze kudhulumiwa. Na ndio sababu wewe you are different, Your Excellency. You are very different. Very different. You are very different. You are not a parent. Wewe ni baba. Sema baba. Sema baba. Nimesema kweli uongo? You can be a head of an institution. That's not a problem. But you cannot be a baba. So baba, sisi tunashukuru kwa sababu umekuwa ukitupigania kila wakati, na kwa vile umekuja hapa nataka nikualike baba. Baba anapokuja watu tusimame na tumpigie makofi. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 10, 20, 20, 50, 70. Karibu sana. Karibu sana Your Excellency. Uzungumze na watu wako hawa.
Asante sana gavana. Karibuni sana wanapwani. Wanapwani hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. Assalamu alaikum Waislamu. Wakristo, Bwana Yesu asifiwe. Asanteni sana. Tumekuja, tumechelewa lakini tumefika. Waswahili wanasema tikawia ufike, sio? Sasa gavana alinialika, na mimi ni vile nimeambiwa hapo mbeleni, nimekuwa nikija katika hizi kongamano ya jumuiya ya Pwani tangu ile ya kwanza mpaka sasa. Mara kwa mara nisema mimi nitaka nije ili nipate fursa ya kuongea na wanapwani. Ndio sababu mimi nimekuja. Sasa nilikuwa nimetayarisha mazungumzo ambayo ningetoa hapa. Hiyo speech yangu iko na itakuwa produced, wengine wataweza kusoma. Lakini naomba sasa niongee kutoka kwa kifua yangu. Unanikubali? Hii kongamano inaongea juu ya mambo ya kilimo na pili mambo ya uchumi samawati. Sasa yale yote ina mambo ambayo yanahusika na maisha ya watu wetu. Manake watu wetu wako na shida, na sio hapa Kenya peke yake. Bara ya Afrika yote kuna shida ya mambo ya chakula. Lakini katika hii ulimwengu mzima, bara ya Afrika ndio iko na rasilimali nyingi zaidi kuliko bara zingine zote. Kupande ya madini, kupande ya misitu zamani na maji na kadhalika. Lakini hivyo ni kwamba Waafrika ndio wako na changamoto mingi zaidi kimaisha. Watu wetu wengi wanakufa kwa sababu ya ukosefu ya chakula. Unakuta kule Afrika ya kaskazini huko, wengine wanakufa baharini wakijaribu kuingia huko Ulaya ili wanusuriki. Wanazama na motoboti huko wakitoka katika Afrika kwa sababu ya shida. Tunasema mpaka sisi kama Waafrika tupate mbinu ya kukabiliana na yale maadui wetu, ili watu wetu waweze kupata chakula ya kutosha kila mara kwa mara. Mimi natoa shukrani sana kwa watu wa jumuiya ya Pwani kwa kuja pamoja. Ndio mambo ya ugatuzi ilikuwa na upinzani mkali sana. Watu wengi walikuwa hawataki mambo ya ugatuzi. Tukiwa kule Bomas ilipingwa vikali. Hata yule ambaye alikuwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya ugatuzi alipigwa risasi. Walikuwa hawataki, wanataka mambo yote yawe Nairobi. lakini mimi nilikuwa kama shadow minister ya local government. Nizuru nchi mingi, nilienda Japani, nikaona vile devolution inafanya kazi. Nikaenda Uingereza, nikaona vile wanafanya kazi. Nikaenda Marekani, nikaona vile wanafanya kazi. Na nikajua kwamba hii inaweza kusaidia sisi hapa Kenya. Ujerumani vile vile pale niliishi niliona. Na tukasema ifanyike. Unajua yale yalifanyika, tulikule Bomas of Kenya, tulikuwa na majimbo 15. Lakini wale walipinga. Unakumbuka wakati ile ya ndizi na chungwa. Baadaye tukarudia hii maneno baada ya shida ya 2008, wakakubali ugatuzi tu kama itakuwa ziko ndogo ili ziwe zinaweza kuwa control kutoka Nairobi. Katika ile ya Bomas, pwani yote ilikuwa ni jimbo moja, one region. Tulikuwa na jimbo 15 peke yake. Angalieni nchi kama Nigeria iko na population ya watu 200,000,000 na wako na states 36. Afrika Kusini inashinda Kenya karibu mara 2, hata Nigeria vile vile, lakini wako na provinces 9 peke yake. Pale wako na waziri mkuu, lakini hapa ni 47. Sasa mimi nimeona yale ambayo wamefanya hapa ni kukuja pamoja kama jumuiya ya pwani ili muweze kufanya mpango yenu kama watu mmoja. Kama mngekuwa jimbo moja ingekuwa rahisi zaidi. Shida ambayo mko nayo hapa inafanana. Iko hapa Tana River, Atalamu jirani wenu hapa, Kilifi hapa, Taita Taveta, Kwale namna hiyo. Mombasa ni mjini peke yake. Na shida haya mnaweza kuyatatua mkija pamoja na mnafikiria pamoja, utafiti mnafanya pamoja. Huyo kijana ambaye ameongea na nyinyi hapo, Bwana Lamek Ogode, nimetoa yeye alikuwa ni mtaalamu, alikuwa anafanya kule Afrika Kusini. Na amekuwa na mbinu ya kusaidia wakulima huku Afrika Kusini. Ukienda kule yeye ana sifa mingi zaidi huyo kijana. Ameenda mpaka kisiwa ya Haiti kule Marekani. Ameona vile vile shida ya wakulima ambazo zinafanana na shida ambayo wakulima wetu wako nayo hapa. Kwa sababu nilimwambia nikienda huko kule kuongea na wakulima, naenda na wewe ili waeleze ati kuna shida lakini vile vile kuna suluhu. Tukitumia mbinu tunaweza kusaidia wakulima wetu na tunaweza kutosheleza mahitaji wetu kwa upande ya chakula na vile vile pesa, ile cash crop ambazo zinauza ng'ambo. Naweza kukuwa nazo hapa kwenu. Hapa unaona kama Tana River na Kilifi pale kuna pande ile mto Sabo na Sabaki huko chini inakuwa Sabaki au Galana na inakuwa Sabaki. Pande hii iko Tana River, mto Tana pande hii. Maji mingi ambayo hizo mito zinapeleka baharini. Wakati ya mvua mingi inaleta mafuriko hapa. Lakini bahari haina haja na maji. Bahari kuna maji ya kutosha. Nchi kavu ndio ina haja ya maji. Kwa hivyo hii maji tukizuia tunaweza kutumia kwa manufaa ya watu wetu. Kuna wakati wa mvua inapenyesha kwa fujo zaidi, mnajua. Kutoka kule Kitui maji mengi nakuja hapa, naleta mafuriko hapa. Manyumba zinachukuliwa hapa. Hiyo maji inapita na ingia huko baharini. Sasa mimi nakubaliana na gavana, tumeongea kwa muda mrefu sana. Maji hizi ambazo zinakuja namna hii na ziko na zile hata mito ambazo inaitwa seasonal streams na rivers. Tujenge mabwawa kuvuna hiyo maji. ili zilete mafuriko hapa. Wakati ile ambayo mvua inanyesha kwa mingi zaidi, hiyo maji tunaivuna, ili ukame kija iko na maji ya kutosha kwa matumizi ya wananchi wetu wote. Nimekubaliana vile vile bwana gavana na hiyo pendekezo yenu, ati ile pale wao wanasema wanataka kujenga ile tunnel iwe hiyo kwanza tunaanza kujenga zile mabwawa, ili hii tunnel ikija inaingiza maji ndani ya hizo mabwawa kabla hajapita enda huku chini, na wakati mwingine tunaifunga hiyo tunnel, tunatumia maji ambayo iko hapo ndani. Alafu sasa tunaweza kukuwa na chakula ya kutosha kunyesha mashamba yenu hapa, maji tutakuwa na mavuno makubwa zaidi. Huyo kijana amemwambia nyinyi kuna zile crops mpya ambazo mnaweza kutumia. Kwa mfano hiyo Manila iko na pesa mingi zaidi. Nchi ya Mauritius ilikuwa ilikuza miwa na wako na viwanda vya kutengeneza sukari, lakini ukapata kwenda sukari haina pesa mingi zaidi, soko imejaa huko. Sasa ameleta hiyo vanilla. Hiyo vanilla inaleta pesa mingi sana kwa wakulima kule Mauritius. Inaweza kuleta hata pesa hapa kwa wakulima hapa Tanariva. Hiyo ndio tutaangalia. Kwa hivyo tuko na maarifa mingi ambayo tunaweza kutumia ili watu wetu waweze kutoka kwenye hali ya ufukara. Pili ni mambo ya malazi. Maanake hiyo vile vile urbanization naongea juu yake. Tunasema watu wetu naona wanafinyana mali kidogo namna hii, watu wamekaa pale, wanakaa kama nzige. Shida inakuwa kabisa vile watu wanaishi. Tena wameenda karibu na mito, wamejenga karibu na mto. Wakati ya maji mengi kuna mafuriko na nyumba zinaenda. Mpango ni kutoa watu wetu karibu na mto na kuwajengea manyumba za kisasa nje pale ambayo wao wanaweza kuishi vizuri. Alafu pande ile sasa tunawacha kwa upande ya kilimo huko chini, na maji tunapiga inaenda pale watu wanaishi, na kuwa na piped water pale ambayo wanaishi. Na hizo nyumba za kisasa ambazo zinajengwa zinakuwa mnaitwa affordable housing ya watu, ili watu waishi kwa nyumba za kisasa. Ukienda katika nchi ya Korea Kusini na mtasikia yale ambayo mimi nasema. Ukiangalia picha ya Korea Kusini mwaka 60 na kitu, watu walikuwa naishi vile watu wetu tunaishi wakati huu, karibu na mtu namna hiyo. Lakini sasa imebadilika. Tena watu sasa wako na ya manyumba ya kisasa, na vile vile shamba iko ya kulima ambayo imenyunyishwa maji, hakuna pale ya kupata chakula huko. Hiyo mpango kama haya tunataka yaje hata hapo upande yetu. Modern settlement, affordable housing scheme hapa. Mimi najua gavana wenu hapa kuna mpango kama hiyo hapa. Nataka yale yafanyike hapa kwenu. Affordable housing. Tatu ni mambo ya uchumi samawati, blue economy. Hizi counties za pwani 5, moja peke yake, Taita Taveta peke yake ndio haina bahari, lakini zingine zote Lamu, Tanariva, Kilifi, Mombasa na Kwale zote ziko na ile ni ya front ya bahari. Sasa hii bahari iko na rasilimali nyingi ndani yake. Ukiwacha madini, kuna samaki nyingi zaidi. Ukienda nchi moja mfano naitwa Namibia. Namibia ni nchi ambayo ukubwa yake ni jangwa, Kalahari Desert. Pale ya kilimo ni kidogo sana, lakini wale wamefanya kule wametumia mbinu ya kupanua uchumi wao ya samawati, blue economy. Wamejenga zile meli za kisasa ya uvuvi. Kama hapa kwetu tunaweza kuona kitu kingine hapo Lamu, moja hapa Tana River, mbali Kilifi, Mombasa na Kwale. Na hizi wameweka mitambo ya wekea samaki. Kwanza meli anaenda, kuna mitambo ya kutengeneza barafu. Meli inatoka hapa na barafu anaingia maji mengi huko. Na kule maji mengi wanakaa hata wiki moja. Narudi na samaki tupu matans. Zinakuja, ingine imetoa asubuhi, ingine mchana, ingine jioni. Wana offload. Hapo utakuta viwanda ziko pale, akina mama wameajiriwa pale maelfu na maelfu kufanya kazi. Hizo samaki zinakuwa processed, alafu zinakuwa packed. Unaona hii container inaenda Marekani, hii inaenda Japan, hii inaenda Australia, hii inaenda India na kadhalika. Haya, kwa hivyo Namibia inakuwa nchi tajiri sasa kwa sababu ya uchumi samawati. Hapa kwetu katika bahari yetu ya Hindi, hapo mbele hapo tuko na inaitwa the Tuna Corridor. Ukienda katika kisiwa ambacho inaitwa Maldives, kati yetu na Hindi hapo Maldives, biashara kubwa pale ni mambo ya tuna processing. Na tuko hii na hii corridor ya tuna ambayo inatoka Maldives mpaka kule Ushelisheli huko chini. Hapo sasa wa Japani, wa Korea, wa China ndio wanakuja hapo, na iko katika upande yetu ya bahari, wanafanya fishing katika our territorial waters. Alafu wanatoa hiyo wanapeleka kwao, zingine wanapeleka ng'ambo. Kwa sababu sisi hatujakuwa na facilities ya kutosha kuwezesha wavuvi wetu kwenda kule ndani na kuleta samaki ya kutosha hapo. Kwa hivyo hii blue economy tunataka tuingie. Counties naweza kuinvest, lakini pamoja na national government waje hapo na investment ifanywe. Lakini counties wanaweza, tukiongea pamoja na wafadhili wengine wanaweza kuja hapa. Wafadhili wanaweza kuja hapa kusaidia nyinyi. Na mimi niko tayari kusaidiana na nyinyi kutafuta wafadhili waje hapa wasaidia nyinyi. Hiyo itatoa ajira mingi sana kwa vijana wetu, akina mama ambaye hawana kazi wakati huu. Ajira itapatikana na pesa itakuja katika kaunti zetu hapa. Mnaona sisi na Kibaki tulileta LAPSSET Lamu Port. Lamu Port sasa inaanza kufanya kazi, lakini ile ambayo imejengwa Lamu wakati huu ni kama unaweza kusema ni 10% tu pekee yake. Maana tulisema hivi tulichora ni 32 baths. Sasa ni 3 baths pekee yake ambazo zimejengwa. Sasa nyingine bado hazijajengwa huko. Ili lakini meli kubwa zinaweza nakuja hapo Lamu. Meli hizi kija nataka ziwe na rasilimali ya kupeleka kutoka naye hapa. Wanaleta mali hapa, lakini vile vile wawe na mali ya kutoka naye. Wakati hiyo unaenda Mombasa, SGR na beba container kupeleka huko nchi kavu, lakini kitoka huko inarudi karibu bila chochote. Nataka saa ile container inarudi imebeba kitu. Hapa tumefanya mpango ya kujenga reli kutoka Lamu kupitia hapa Hola, ingie Garissa, alafu iende mpaka huko Isiolo. Kutoka Isiolo pale inapanda moja, naenda mpaka Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, ingine naipanda hii mpaka Juba, Sudan Kusini. Hiyo ni phase 1. Phase 2 inatoka Juba inaingia mahali inaitwa Bangi, Central African Republic, inaingia Cameroon mpaka bandari ya Cameroon inaitwa Kribi. Tutakuwa na daraja ya reli ambayo inaunganisha bahari ya Atlantiki na bahari ya Hindi. Sasa magari yalikuwa yanatoka pande ile inapita hapa inaenda mpaka Lamu. Inatoka Lamu inapita hapa na kwenda kule juu. Lakini sasa hapa mtanariwa mpaka tuwe na bidhaa ambayo gari ya moshi itakuwa inabeba kutoka hapa. Soko itapatikana tayari. Lakini kama soko hiko na hakuna bidhaa ya kuuza, si kazi bure hii. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kuambia nyinyi kwamba sisi tuko na mpango. Hata kama sasa mambo yenu imekuwa na vile imekuwa, lakini hiyo ni kazi ya shetani, na hakika Mungu atafanya kazi yake. Tuna hakika ya kwamba Mungu atafanya kazi yake. Hii mpango itakamilika. Wakati hii mimi niko tayari kufanya na nyinyi kazi. Naenda sasa Amerikani. Kuna mkutano mkubwa wiki ijayo kule Amerika ambayo imeandaliwa na rais wa Amerika Joe Biden, inaitwa USA Africa Summit. Amerika, rais wa Afrika 49 wanakwenda kufanya kazi kuongea juu ya mambo ya uhusiano baina ya Marekani na Afrika. Na mimi nimealikwa kama AU Special Representative on the Infrastructure. Naenda kuongea na marais pale na wafanyabiashara juu ya investment opportunities in Africa katika eneo ya miundo msingi na eneo zingine yote. Kwa sababu mimi naenda, nitatoka kesho kwenda huko. Hiyo nikiwa sasa hapa niseme ya kwamba ile mkutano tulikuwa naye Nairobi siku ya Jumatatu imeahirishwa kwa sababu mimi sitakuweko. Hiyo ndio sababu. Sio ya kwamba sisi tunaogopa mtu yote, hatuogopi mtu yote. Nataka Wakenya waelewe, mwingine anasema oh, Raila amekapwa na nani? Siwezi kukapwa. Kuna mimi naogopa. Tulishinda uchaguzi. Wezi wako pale. Lakini Mungu iko, sio? Mungu wa Kenya iko. Na hakika kweli itatendeka. Asanteni sana. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Excellency, usiende, tunakuomba kidogo hapa kuna hafla kidogo fupi na pia zawadi yako hapa iko wapi mambo ya yes tunakuomba hapa kuna mambo mawili. Tunaomba ukalaunch kidogo vitu viwili hapa inaitwa Go Kenya Coast. Iko wapi hiyo? Wako wapi hao wenyewe hapa? Chap because of time. Go Kenya Coast hiyo. Zawadi. Go Kenya Coast wapi? Wapi?
Jumuiya ya kaunti za Pwani.
Na pamoja na Go Kenya Coast pia tuko na the Tana Heritage Magazine. So tulikuwa tunaomba tu hivyo launch hiyo Go Kenya Coast whatever pamoja na the Tana Heritage Magazine. Sawa, nafikiria sasa tumemaliza. Ilikuwa ni hafla fupi. Yes. Alafu zawadi hapa.
Hello. It is now my pleasure to officially launch the Go Kenya Coast and the Tana River Heritage Magazine officially launched. And also now my pleasure to declare this session of the Coast Economic Forum officially closed.